busy streets of London, I'm lucky enough to bump into one of the UK's most famous vocal coaches, Carrie Grant. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. We're sheltering from the rain a wee bit today, but it's only about 11:30, but
Yes.
you've had a busy day so far. What have you been up to?
I've got my kids out the house. That was a bit of a miracle. And then I came into town and helped my friend make a show reel for her presenting show reel. And then I've made 2 voiceovers. They're both for the one show. One was a film about Jazzy B, and one was a film about Kim Wilde. We're the kids in America.
Fantastic. And when can we see them going out?
So Jazzy B, I love that track, Back to Life, goes out on Friday, 17th, this Friday. And then the Kim Wilde one is in June.
We obviously know you through the one show as well, and music is your background, very much so. But as well as being a coach, you started out as a performer yourself, didn't you? As a singer.
Yeah, well, actually, even before singing, I started out when I left school. My first job when I was 16 was I was a dancer on Top of the Pops.
Really?
And that was just the best kind of education for the industry, really. But most people think, the first thing I did was Eurovision, which is what they always drag out. You do a TV show, they go, let's have a look at you at the age of 17 doing the Eurovision, and then they show some really dreadful singing, and I'm feign embarrassment. And what I'm really thinking is, thank goodness they didn't find the Top of the Pops dancing.
Now, is that still in the archives somewhere?
Somewhere.
Well,
somewhere there's. Listen, when you've been around for as long as I have, there's archive. And to be honest, just showing the Eurovision is quite tame.
And you mentioned the Eurovision. I think we're coming up to Eurovision weekend pretty soon.
We are. Bonnie Tyler.
So what do you think about our chances, or is it still just
a chance? There's no way we're ever going to win. You know that.
Do you think it's just
no
political?
one likes us. No one likes us. We are the country that no one likes. Everyone wants to be us and be cool like Britain, but no one wants to vote for us.
It's as simple as that then.
Simple as.
But was your experience on it quite good fun at the time? Because I think before all the politics came involved, Britain still had a chance, when we were still churning out some good sounds.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because actually we came 6th, and at the time, you see now people say, that's amazing, you came 6th, well done. At the time, that was the biggest shame. We were like, come back to Britain with your heads hanging in shame, you only came 6th. So it was a really bad thing. But for me, I try to see things as an overview. So for me at 17, I was making TV shows, I was in recording studios, I was making records. I learned so much about the industry just from doing that one experience, having that one experience. So for me it was even though I didn't particularly like the music, and at 17 I wanted to be cool, and I wasn't cool by doing that, but for me it was a great experience.
I think there's always still a lot of kitsch fun attracted to the Eurovision just now. We all like it secretly.
Yeah, I get fan letters still now. Yeah, from guys that are just like, I love Eurovision. I have a whole gay following, Eurovision gay following.
Are you a gay icon then because of this?
I think because of Eurovision.
Yeah. Doing all that. But the music's obviously played such a big part in your life, and that was really before Pop Idol came along, and before all the big talent shows that Britain's Got Talent that we know now. You were really getting an experience of that, and how do you use that experience to then show your pupils or the people you've worked with?
That's such a good question. I think that you everything that you learn, I'm someone who I glean. I'll learn something from this. I'm just one of those people that wants to learn. So every little bit I take on board, and then I filter that back and think, when I'm standing in front of a student, how can I help this person just move from the place where they are now to the place they need to be? And so it's really sort of facilitating that. And so because I've worked presenting, singing, dancing, bit of acting, writing, all of those things combined together create, I guess, a holistic approach to teaching someone. Plus, I just love people. So for me, getting really under the skin of someone and saying, who are you as an artist? What do we need to bring out today? What's today about? And really exploring that with someone. That, to me, I get such a buzz from doing that.
That really comes through in what you're saying, and at the risk of name dropping, some of the artists you've worked with over the years, you've coached behind the scenes.
Yeah, so I guess some of my biggest clients would be, the first clients would take that. We started with them first time round, and then from there we kind of went on to all of those groups like S Club 7, the Spice Girls, Atomic Kitten, and then the individuals were Charlotte Church, Lamar, Will Young, Gwyneth Paltrow. We're now doing the Saturdays.
That's an unbelievable unbelievable stable of people that you've worked with. Unbelievable. Because
they are all amazing people, I have to say. There's not one I haven't enjoyed working with. Every single one of those people I've just had the most amazing experiences with and got to know them in such an amazing way. Singing is such a personal thing. You're in their space, and so it's a privilege to stand in front of these guys and just go, okay, who are you? Who gets the chance to do that? And then of course when I came back to presenting on by doing the One Show just in the last few years, all of that really helps with presenting, because you naturally know how to get under the skin of someone because of the coaching stuff. So they all feed into each other.
It's a lot of energy work, I would imagine, there, because it's a very physical thing, singing. It's not, I think people turn up at these auditions and think, oh well, I sing in front of the mirror, but there's a lot more about it than that. There's a lot of physicality involved. And
yeah, there is. I mean, there's the technical side of singing, which of course I'm really hot about, really need to get people's technique down. But actually, when you're going for a talent show, people aren't looking for the finished article, they're looking for authenticity. And of course that's the hardest thing to be, when you've got a panel of people are going to say to you, well, I'm really sorry, but that's not good enough, which is generally what is said to them. That's not a nice thing. And if you know you're about to receive that kind of criticism, or that may happen, to be yourself is just the last thing you want to be, because it's like standing in front of someone naked and them going, is that what you call good? No one wants that kind of commentary, do they?
That's not one of the techniques you recommend, though, is it? No?
Certainly not.
Oh, that would be a really interesting lesson. I was just trying to do a mental calculation there of all the artists you talked about. Between them, they must have sold over 500 million records.
Yeah.
It really is, and especially Take That, and they've come back
Some
again.
Some of those, obviously, that over the years before I was coaching, I was singing, of course. So we worked with people like Diana Ross, Michael Jackson. I mean, I feel like I'm so privileged to, kids grow up and they think, I want to sing and dance. That's what I want to do for a job. And I was like that as a child. And suddenly someone's saying, I'm going to pay you to go and do this work. That's just the most extreme privilege.
Now, you mentioned a couple of the really big American artists there, Diana Ross and Michael Jackson, of course, who's sadly no longer with us. What was it like working with somebody like him?
Well, Michael Jackson didn't really speak very much. So he sat, and it's mainly his people that speak to you. So it's just how it is, and that's not because of his eccentricity. I think that some of that is just because America, maybe because they don't have a queen and a king, perhaps their royalty are their artists, so they are treated with unbelievable, kid gloves, and even say something like Fame Academy. When I was doing Fame Academy, we had Lionel Richie came into Fame Academy. He had 2 people with him. He's really down to earth. He's obviously gone against the grain.
I've heard this from other people as well.
Shania Twain, 2 people. I think Lionel had 1. Shania Twain had 2 people. Mariah Carey, 37 people. What do all those people do? Why did you need 37 people? That's like... And part of it, I guess, is that they're on the road a lot of the time, so that becomes their community, that becomes their family. But it's a bit weird when you're paying every member of your family, isn't it? You kind of want friends. Yeah. Something genuine.
Again, these are stories I've heard as well, and I'm not surprised about what you said about the Mariah Carey one and the big entourage. But now, talking about down to earth and things, although you're in showbiz, you come across as a very down to earth person. Is the family?
That's because I'm so old. I can't afford to be up myself, really. I probably was 20 years ago, but I'm kind of over that now. And when you have kids, they're not going to cut you any slack. So you're just instant down to earth, not down.
The family seems to be a big part of your life and very important part. And obviously, you're not just the only vocal coach in the family. You're part of a duo. David, your husband, David Grant, and you work as a team a lot. So how do you juggle all that and keep all the?
I don't know how we juggle life, but somehow it just works. In fact, it's been easier the last few years because David and I generally have worked separately. He does Songs of Praise, I do the One Show. So quite often I'm at home when he's out, and he's at home when I'm out. But there are those moments where we're doing jobs together, and and it's hard. It's hard for our kids. But having said that, there are other days where we're home, both of us, for a long periods of time. So they kind of there's nothing constant, but they do. And I think they have a good life.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yesterday, for instance, I went to Brussels at 5 in the morning. I got back at 7 in the evening, and 4 children ran at me as I walked through the door, all saying, "I want this. I need a white outfit outfit for school. I need lunchbox. I need this. Buy me a Mac, Mum. They've all got their demands, and you can't think, well, I've just spent the last 13 hours going to another country and back and being briefed about some major job. I can't be thinking about that at that point. I'm Mum.
You sound like super Mum, actually, to be quite honest.
Really not super Mum. I'm probably failing mother, but you can only do your best, can't you? And I absolutely adore my children, so hopefully that's enough.
Yeah, I think so. And David, you mentioned about working together. Obviously, the two of you worked together on the Glee Club, which has been a really successful children's series.
Which you worked on.
I did. I was lucky enough to work with you. And how difficult is it at times? Because you mentioned earlier about kids standing there, they've performed, and they're waiting judgment. And you know yourself, you've been there, and these kids are even younger than when you started out at 17.
Sure.
And what are you looking for when you're there?
Well, it's an interesting one with kids because I kind of have polarised views within my own head, which is odd. When I was a child, I would have done anything to stand up and do a talent show, and I really wanted that. So I really understand the desire of a child to want to get up and perform. And I think adults that say, well, children should be doing this, they don't want to do it. Actually, they really do want to do it. Any child that grew up wanting to sing and dance will go, I've been there.
Me and you both?
Yeah. So they do. There's no doubt about that. And as much as we try to say, social awareness, no, they don't. Yes, they do. But we still have to protect them from their own selves in a way. So, yes, I think the talent show thing is great, but we do have to be careful that we don't tear someone down, because obviously their performance and who they are when you're very young can be really connected. I know for me it was, I had all sorts of troubles going on in my childhood, and the one thing that worked for me when I was growing up was when I sang and danced, I got approval, I got love, I got attention. So for me, if someone had then torn me to pieces, that would not have just impacted how I felt about myself as an artist, that would have been all of me. And we have to be aware that not all children have that wholeness going on, and many performers don't. Many of us become artists because there's a little bit of us that's a bit broken. So we have to be careful with those little children growing up, that when we critique them, we're literally just talking about the performance and really making sure to affirm who they are, and making sure that actually, like Glee Club has, there's a whole support network behind the scenes that means that actually the children are not feeling like I've just gone and someone's just completely devalued me.
And we mentioned David working on this show as well.
Yeah.
How did the two of you meet? Because David was Britain's biggest soul star for many years, and part of Lynx. And I'm a man that used to play a lot of his records at the nightclubs I've worked in over the years. And you can tell him from me.
You've done it old enough.
Oh no, God, listen, well, thank you very much. That's a really nice compliment.
I was at school.
So he was in the charts. He was the big star, and you were still at school at the time. This was way before you met.
Yeah.
So what was your first experience? How did you become aware of David Grant, the singer?
I became aware of David Grant in an English lesson when the girl next to me was reading, I can't remember what it would have been at the time, probably something like Smash Hits. Just like, my gosh, I love this guy. His name's David Grant. I remember just looking across and thinking, whatever. And then it was really funny because when I met David and he chatted me up and asked me out, all I could think of was this girl next to me thinking, what's she going to think? I've ended up dating him. And I've never met her since, but I often think, what does she think? They ended up getting married and he was my pin-up.
That's absolutely fantastic. And how many years have you been together now?
We've been together 27 years. We've been married 25, so it's our silver wedding anniversary this year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
He is a giant. I've just got to tell you, he is the most amazing man. He really is a rock.
Well, now we know why you're saying you're about to celebrate 25 years together. Have you got anything, is it a secret? Have you got anything planned?
We don't plan anything, we're rubbish. We're so rubbish at planning. It'll get to a week before we'll go, should we have a party? Then we'll have a big party. That's
absolutely amazing. And going back to your one show reports just now as well, you mentioned Jazzy B and Kim Wilde, two of the greatest artists that we've seen over the last 20, 30 years. Do you have much input in your reports, about the kind of music that you like to report on, or things
I get given the subject for the one show, but the one thing that I guess they would never try to step on my musical expertise. They wouldn't write a script saying, ask about the singing, this part of the voice or whatever. They would just leave that to me. So pretty much I know where they want to take their interview, and then I mean, I just chat. I just love chatting, really. I never think I'm working. It's only at the end of the day I think I've just done a day's work. I've just chatted and I'm just terribly nosy and interested in people and how people put things together musically, their influences and also sometimes their insecurities, because sometimes it's the things that we're unsure about that create magic. So finding what was that person thinking at that moment. Often there's a huge amount of doubt going on there, which I find fascinating. We all just assume that, someone is super confident and they wrote a super song and they had a big hit and it was all great. Whereas actually that's never the story. There's always something going on there where there was uncertainty and last chance kind of stuff. And it's that part of the story that, as much as it is the success, that makes it interesting.
Yeah, I think lots of artists have talked about the best work coming from some of the most tragic things that have happened. Divorce, separation, loss of somebody, and all this. They turn to inspiration.
Yes.
And they use it as fuel for writing things and things.
Absolutely, and also someone's identity. Just as we, as artists, I think we're the people that get to play. So we play all day. Who am I? What it's so self-obsessive, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. But that's it's great. And then someone gives us some money for doing that, and someone wants to buy our record because we sat playing for a couple of hours and made something lovely. I mean, what a great thing to do.
I think that sounds like a perfect
job,
message for people. And if anyone is up and coming just now, we've talked about the kids working in Glee Club, and top 3 tips if somebody really wants to make it as a singer. What should they be doing daily to keep themselves ticking over and exercising, whatever?
So, it would be so easy to give you lots of technical things that one should do, but those things, to be honest, they're the things that you can learn easily. The things that are hard are, who are you?
Okay.
If you know who you are, that tells you what your voice sounds like. It tells you what your music should sound like, and it also tells you who your audience are. So those things are really important, knowing who you are. Your music, your voice, and your image should all say the same thing, give the same message. Yeah. People are a little bit thick. We are a little bit thick in terms of when we buy music. It has to say the same thing, otherwise we get confused. So if someone is holistic in all of that, their music, their voice, their image, it all says one thing. We go, oh, that's simple. It's like Heinz baked beans. We know that's what we pick off the shelf. That's very clear. We know what we're getting.
That was not what I expected at all, and yet it's the perfect answer. It is the right answer, if that makes sense.
I mean, I could say, look at your breathing technique, look at your placement of your voice, look at how to mix your head and your chest voice. There's lots of things that one could say, but ultimately you'll learn that. You'll learn that in a few weeks. That's not difficult to learn. What's difficult to learn is who are you and what's your sound and who do you appeal to. Great advice.
And if people want to find out more about you and about David and about the coaching, are you online? Do you have a website?
Just carrieanddavidgrant.com.
Simple as that. And do you do the Facebook and Twitter thing? Do you keep in touch?
I do.
Oh, go on.
Oh my gosh, I've got into Twitter. I love it. Carrie Grant 1. I love it. It's a great way of staying in touch. And I know that we're all meant to criticise it and go, this is terrible, you don't communicate at all when you're on Twitter. I really do. I have lovely conversations with people, and I have great there's little groups of people that you see communicating with one another, and that gives you a little sense of community. It's not family. Let's not pretend it's family, but they're lovely little communities. I have a little Crohn's disease community because I have Crohn's. I have a little autistic community and Asperger's community because my children have got Asperger's and autism. I've got a whole music community. I've got a kind of mums community. I love all of that. All of that makes for a really rich existence on Twitter. I love that.
And not just the Twitter there, you mentioned a couple of things that I hadn't realised. You had Crohn's and the kids had Asperger's and things. Does that add to the difficulty as well, or is it just a challenge that you got on with?
Do you know what? When I first got Crohn's, I mean, I felt like I was 20. I was 18 when I got it and diagnosed at 20, and I felt like my life was over because I felt that this is, I've gone into the arts and I'm now living the dream, and this is going to shut my dream down. And it took me 5 years to adjust. But once I had adjusted, then you normalise things that are totally not normal, and then you say, right, well, this is what I've got to live with. I can either spend every day complaining about it and I can live my life like it's this big, or I can say, do you know what, I may not have as big a life as I wanted, but actually I'm going to live it as big as I can. And I say the same about my kids. Yeah, I've got 4 children, one's adopted. The 3 that are birth children have got 7 special needs between them. And they are really quirky and really different and really magical and really amazing. And I'd rather concentrate on the special than I would on the needs. They are incredible.
What a fantastic message to put out. You just come across as positivity.
I'm not always positive. I have moments where I feel
sure.
really sad, moments where I just think, gosh, this is so hard. But that's part of life, isn't it? But generally, I'll always revert back to, come on,
do that.
do it.
Carrie, it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely great. And what's the rest of the day? Because I know you've got to rush off and do something else.
Rest of the day
and then we'll let you go.
Rest of the day is I have a Crohn's disease lunch.
Okay.
Which is meeting all the sponsors of Crohn's and Colitis UK, which is a charity I support and I'm ambassador of. Then I'm meeting my 18-year-old because she needs to get a new computer. So, bank of mum and dad.
I was going to say super mum coming in again.
I'm just giving my card across the counter for that and losing everything I've ever earned. And then this evening I've got a meeting with the BBC to talk about a new format. And that's with David. So we'll have a nice little bit of dinner together.
Fantastic. Listen, I've taken up a lot of your time today and I really appreciate it. And good luck with all the projects. And we'll see you in the One Show very, very soon.
Yeah, this Friday.
This Friday.
Thank you.
You can see it there.